at the wonderful muscle building emporium that is G6 Fitness KINCUMBER, and today we're going to be taking you through the do's and don'ts of how to build the perfect round capped deltoids. The exercise that we're going to go through today is the rear pec fly, targeting the back of the shoulder. So a lot of the time we see people doing this exercise totally incorrectly, not isolating the rear delt and putting all the tension in their traps and their rhomboids. Another thing we see is people coming back way too far, taking all the tension again right out of the rear delt and putting it back in the trap and rhomboid, so we don't want it. He'll bring his pelvis in towards the bench, his chest will slightly be up, having a slight bend in his elbows. Dax then pushes out, trying to reach either side of the room without coming back too far, ensuring that he keeps all the tension in the rear delt of the shoulder. None of it's in the traps, none of it's in the rhomboids, but purely rear delt here. And as you can see, this rear delt is about to explode. Be careful, it could poke someone's eye out. Exercise number 2 for today, we're going to be doing a side lateral using a weight plate. Traditionally, we'll see people use a dumbbell. Today, Dax and I are going to be using the weight plate. We like where this keeps the tension centered nice in the insertion point, which is the area that we're really trying to target to blow these shoulders out. A few of the mistakes we see with this is people using all the wrong muscles to move the weights. Also people gaining momentum, taking the weight out of the area that we're trying to grow and putting it in other parts of the bodies. Proceed to reach out to either side of the room again, keeping his elbows slightly above his hands, making sure all the tension is on this side insertion point of the shoulder. Exercise number 3 we'll be going through today is the seated dumbbell press. A lot of the mistakes we see is people's feet out to the side, they're tapping their foot as they're pushing, they're getting in these ugly positions like this, they bring the dumbbells up, smacking them together. Incorrect. What we want to do, we want to get maximum stability from the get-go. We want to sit back, brace our midsection, get the dumbbells in a neutral position, straight up, straight back down, controlling the eccentric portion of the movement. Pushing my feet into the ground as hard as I can so that when I begin to struggle, I've got a nice firm base that's going to help me continue to get the weight up. If I lose my feet, I'll lose all my stability. Keeping my feet here, I'm stable.
Come on, I want to see 10.
Okay. So, stepping into this movement, you'll notice Dax has his feet planted firmly on the ground. He's slightly leaning back with his hands in an over position, not underneath, over the top of the rope. From here, what Dax will do, as he pulls back in towards his face, he's also spreading the rope apart. What that's doing is initiating these rear delts and allowing us to get much more engagement, allowing for a bigger squeeze and a bigger contraction. You'll notice that as Dax has leaned backwards slightly, he can fully allow the weight to stretch the rear delt, so we can take it through a full range of motion. The rear delt's only a very small muscle, so it's important that we take it through a full range of motion. Here, Dax will stretch it to its maximum capacity and then shorten it. Lengthen, shorten.
It's all in the head. Yeah, it's all in the hips. It's all in the hips.
Get off of me!
Hey, just easing the tension, baby.
Our 5th and final exercise, we're going to finish off our shoulder shelf with our trapezius muscle. Some of the common mistakes we see when performing this exercise are people rolling their shoulders far too aggressively. They've watched that My Sacrifice Kevin Levrone video one too many times and they've just learned it from Kevin Levrone completely incorrectly. All this is doing is damaging the rotator cuff and it's very uncomfortable. People bouncing the weights up, not getting any contraction, literally just bouncing and just making it go through all their spine. Or, as we can see here, Dax leaning too far forward, which is a lot more rhomboid. It still hits a little bit, doesn't isolate it quite as much as well. The way that Dax is going to do our shrugs with the dumbbell today is he's going to have his head slightly forwards and he will be pulling up and back at the same time. You'll notice that his arm is completely straight. It may bend a little bit. We don't want the tension in the bicep. His hands are working as hooks. The weight is moving by Dax simply pulling his trapezius muscle up and back.